This is a round of the Silver Goblets and Nickalls Challenge Cup, the open pairs. You have Thornton and Brown on the left-hand side of your screen versus Rienks of the Netherlands in that famous orange on the right of your screen. And a fast start from the Dutch pair. Yeah, fast start, no surprise there. I think the two brothers in there will be so used to racing together, training together. I mean, what incredible form they're in, this Dutch pair, and we'll talk more about them as they come down the course. And I think the stories at this point between the two pairs, you know, the Dutch flying out in front, but going up against, I love the story that's come together from this Thames and Nemesis combination crew. They qualified 10 years ago, it was the last time for Manchester University, and here they are back having a bit of a reunion row. And you know, it's one of these races, it's one of the joys of Henley that they're going up against arguably the favourites for this title in their first race. What we have here at Henley is a range of races, and what you're watching right now is the absolute elite men's pair, the open pair. And this combination, these brothers, are certainly out here to win this race, again, against a strong but club-level men's pair, I should point out. So this Dutch combination, well, wall-to-wall accolades for them, really, aren't there? Yeah, certainly. It's Rick. He's the older of the two. 30 years old. You know, he's had 4 previous Henley experiences, which, you know, pays dividends in the pairs. But I think it's the Olympic experience that both of these athletes are able to bring to the boat. You know, he was in the Coxless 4 for the Dutch, 7th at Paris last year, but it was his younger brother, Ralph. You know, he's 27, 3 years difference between the two of them. He was silver medalist from the 8 last year, and that was a terrific Dutch 8 last year at the Olympic Games. But here they are back together, and it's not the first time that they've rowed together. You know, they've spent time in 2022, 2023 together, winning a bronze medal in the World Championships in the Coxless 4. So to be able to come back together at the beginning of an Olympiad, I think is quite nice, and to row down the Henley course with your brother it's special. Yeah, we're looking at the Thames Nemesis combination here. Still tapping it along quite nicely, but it's hard to come up against this international crew. A little look around there. Sam Thornton in the bow seat had a look, telling Jake in front of him, let's keep going, let's keep this distance as short as possible. But that is a huge lead from the internationals, the Olympic medalists, the Dutch combination. Yeah, it is, and I think it's worth noting we've said it's a composite. Nemesis Boat Club, that's the alumni of Manchester University, so it was Manchester that the two of them represented. But since then, you know, there's been a huge amount of success that the two of them have had at Henley Royal over the years. You know, multiple wins in the Thames Challenge Cup with Thames in 2018 and 2021 for Sam Thornton in the bows, and he teamed up with Jake Byrne in the stroke seat back in 2021 for that win. So they know these Henley waters well. What is it between them? 23 Henley experiences, which is massive. You know, there'll be 8 who won't have that many experiences, that number of races out in the course together. But this Dutch outfit, you know, I think favourites certainly to make the final and potentially favourites to win the whole event. Very hard boat to row, the pair. You're on either side of a tiny boat. The boat's just the same width as your hips. You can see there the back shot. It's a really small carbon fibre shell. Each person has one oar in their hand, and they have to rely on the other person to go out over their rigger and drive back at the same time. This boat is incredibly hard to row, but tell you what, when you get it right, it's kind of like magic. And right now, Rienks, the Dutch combination from the Netherlands, there they are, making it look very easy work. Yeah, as the Dutch so often do. You know, you look across the board, across their sweet boats, across their sculling boats, they're just magnificent, and it's trickled down throughout the student rowing, throughout the club rowing as well. It's just effortless the way the Dutch are able to move the boats, and particularly down at these low rates. You know, it's a bit bumpier, there's wash to contend with, not so much at this time in the morning, but they're mastering the Henley waters, and just look at that as they're coming past Stewart's enclosure. Spectacular rowing. Thornton and Brown still working hard, still laying it down as they come past the enclosures. They're looking pretty good here, but they're just outclassed by an international boat. But look at that, shows you the grit and determination of all these crews out on the course, and they've closed that gap quite significantly as they come past the progress boards. The claps for Thames and Manchester certainly will be ringing in their ears as they can also hold their heads up here against a strong international crew. Rienks come towards the finish line. A little look around there. Ralph in the bow seat, the beep to say, yeah, you're through to the Saturday. But strong finish there from Thornton and Brown, but no match today in the Silver Goblets and Nickalls Challenge Cup. That's a win for Rienks over Thornton and Brown.